we are already almost 2 months into the new school year. You guys, I mean, minus Squid, you guys have children. And we just found out that effective immediately, my daughter, who is in 3rd grade, is basically starting all over. Because according to a letter that we received in a book bag, there was some sort of assessment that was done that said that our school, specifically 3rd grade, had too many 3rd grade teachers.
Too many teachers?
Too
I haven't
many
heard
teachers.
that anywhere. I've heard they have too little.
I didn't know this existed. I didn't know there was an assessment. Who knew? And so we get this letter, and Nora is in 3rd grade, and the letter, I'll just read it to you. I'll slow it down.
Is this a public school?
It's a public school.
Okay.
Yeah, public school. So, dear families of Mr. R's class, annually, Guilford County Schools retain and hire teachers based on an anticipated student enrollment. Now is the time of year that a determination must be made on the number of teachers needed based on actual student enrollment. This year, our school's actual enrollment is slightly less than expected. So just says we must reduce our 3rd grade teaching staff by 1 teacher. And guess whose teacher it is? My daughter's.
That sucks.
And it does, because here we are, like, now is the time to determine that we have to get rid of a teacher. We've already had beginning of grade testing, which is huge for 3rd grade.
Yeah.
We've already had the whole orientation, meet your teacher, here's like the goals, class goals and schedules and getting to know all the whole thing. And then we've also just had progress reports sent home. So now is the time.
It seems a little late in the year.
It seems very late. And by 1
And then to
teacher,
lay off a teacher. Now, if a teacher got fired for conduct or something, that's different.
or they're leaving on their own deal.
No,
yes.
I've heard this. It was something about at the beginning of the year in another elementary school. They had 2 because not enough kids went that they thought they got rid of a kindergarten teacher. And I'm thinking to myself, aren't you guys like massively recruiting and giving bonuses for teachers to come in because we don't have enough teachers? Which would be real messed up if they recruited somebody away from a job, gave them the bonus, and all of a sudden like, sorry, you don't need you, and they had a job. That would be even worse. Now, is this teacher laid off, or are they just taking the teacher and moving him to a different school?
Apparently, that's what's happening. Apparently, that's what's happening. Although I know through other sources that even though the letter we received, and the principal of our school has nothing to do with this decision, she happens to be the in between, she's the liaison,
like the messenger.
Yes,
the
between
superintendent.
She's the liaison. Our principal is the liaison, really, between the superintendent and the parents, because this decision was not made by our principal.
Right,
it was made by the superintendent and our board, the school board. And I feel badly because I think that our principal is probably getting a lot of
I'm sure
the backlash of it, and it's not fair.
Don't always understand how it works,
right? And it's not fair. But a couple things that I have issue with. Number one, to me, 3rd grade's a big deal because it goes from when you're not a baby, but it's the softer years, the kindergarten and the first, and you're just getting acclimated to school. And then 3rd grade is like, you're a big kid now, and you have testing, and you have you go class to class and different things that you're doing in school, Also, just a reminder, when you're in 3rd grade right now, you are a COVID kindergartner, which means everything you've ever known about school is insane.
Yeah, it's been a rough go.
There's no stability whatsoever. And then to find out with a note in a book bag, no heads up, no like, hey, this is coming up, this could happen to you.
When does it take effect, did you say?
Tomorrow.
Oh, geez.
Yes, today.
You think they'd at least give you some time to...
You'd think. Or
the kid's like, hey, this is what's going to happen, da-da-da-da.
Something.
The teacher can say goodbye, all that.
To prepare your kid.
You're jerking these kids out of their class.
100%.
Well, when I was in 3rd grade, Mrs. Carter, excuse me,
yes.
she put me outside of the classroom for like a week with my own desk in the middle. So I would have loved to change teachers. To this day, she was the meanest teacher I've ever had. I'm still pissed.
Why
look her up on social media now that you're saying it and reach out there and see how she's doing.
Oh, she's probably been dead for a long time. What did she put you in the hallway for? I'm sure you're just
behavior.
Oh,
not you.
Yeah.
But think about how bad and that is for a kid in 3rd grade. That every single time the whole class came back and all the other grades were there, I was in the corner with my own desk. I had to stop at my own desk, and then all the other kids went to the classroom, and the second grade was in our corner, and the first grade, and they all went to their classrooms, and I was just out there in the corner by myself in my own desk.
And people knew, oh, that kid doesn't behave.
Yes, that probably wouldn't fly anymore.
Jason, you know what? You're actually making a really great case for my point, which is the fact that in third grade, you are a big kid, and those kinds of decisions have lasting effect on who you are and who you become as a human being
I'm
today.
still pissed.
Yes, see?
Right.
Yeah.
So, and you remember third grade.
You do remember third grade.
I remember Miss Billing. She
Yeah.
was 95 years old, and she was super nice, but I was like, this is the oldest human being I've ever seen in my life.
But you remember
She was
it?
a great teacher, though.
You remember it, and I know it's not the most traumatic. Like my daughter doesn't have to, and her classmates don't have to switch schools, or they don't have to. Those types of things can also be traumatic, if you will.
Yeah.
But this is a total upheaval, in my opinion, for no reason. And
Well, they
It didn't seem like it's handled
doesn't
has
well.
to do with the
seem-
budget. So what they're probably doing is lacking somewhere else.
Yeah.
And have too many. It just seems like the time is bad. Like
Is
you
bad.
couldn't have seen this before enrollment. You already know your enrollment.
Mhm.
So why did you wait so long?
You have to do, I don't know. I had no idea they were doing this sort of assessment, but clearly they were. They took a note and then they put it in your book bag and they say effective immediately, this is what's happening. And so now my daughter goes to school along with her classmates, and just out of the blue, they have to say goodbye to their teacher today. And then tomorrow.
So are they combining the classrooms?
Yeah, they're breaking up this current class and they're putting them into the other ones.
So are all kids? They're not going to all be in the same class.
No, they're splitting them up in between
Oh, so
the
then
others.
that's even worse. That, Okay, like if you all went to another class, at least you're some friends you've made.
Nope.
Now, so you're going to put like 3 here,
Yes.
3 there.
Can't do that.
Not good.
Yeah, equally spread them. And I don't know. It just really doesn't sit well with me at all.
I'd be upset.
And the fact, too, that, everybody, when you are running or talking about school board or you're for the children, it's like, what's best for the children? What's best for the children? And I don't feel that this is best for the children. I also don't feel that this is best for the teacher.
No.
You imagine you're almost 2 months in, you have your classroom, you're just learning these children's learning styles and what makes them tick and how to operate as a classroom. And then as a teacher, you're just like in limbo. He'll go somewhere.
Because they're lacking elsewhere. So it's best for the children there. But they just waited too long, in my opinion, because they know the attendance at that point. Can't you figure out that's the operation? How long have they been in school for?
Almost 2 months.
Okay, so after, even before the first day, you can see the enrollment, and then you can anticipate 1 or 2 more kids. It just seems like it's too late.
Right.
And then you're talking about. Oh, go ahead, Jason.
I just think they should have waited. Is it a semester or
9 weeks
school year or something? It's just in the middle abruptly. It seems odd.
It does. And I wish that there had been a heads up as opposed to this surprise. Everything you know is gone tomorrow. And
is there any chance that it will change or no?
I don't know. I have written an email.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I along with the other parents, we're really upset because this teacher is brand new to our school and he is fantastic. Fantastic. He has the fire to want to be there, the energy, the excitement. I just felt really good about Nora's teacher's assignment this year. I mean, I felt good about it every year, but this year it was like, oh, a new teacher. It's so exciting. And then when you met him, you could tell that he was like in it for all the right reasons. And now he's just like on his way.
Yeah, and I hate that even the classrooms getting split up. Like I initially thought the 15 would go to all together, but that wouldn't make sense. They'd have to. I don't like that.
They're
at
all split up. And then, so yeah, I've been in touch with the superintendent of Guilford County Schools. I mean, I wrote an email. I haven't heard anything back. I wrote an email.
Karen Tesh.
I am. I don't care. I wrote an email to District 3, which is what we're in for. His name is Michael Logan. And I wrote him an email, and I did hear back from him, but it's basically, like, I've let the superintendent know, and I'm sorry for the disruption. But, I mean, I don't know if anything can be done at this point.
It's interesting. Let's go
I doubt
to
it.
Amanda. Amanda, you say you know why the teachers are being moved?
Yeah, so I'm a teacher in Guilford County Schools, and we know that we're hired by the district for better or worse. And I actually travel to a ton of schools, and one school I go to, for example, has 24 kids in all their kindergartens. And the law is they're supposed to have 18 or less. And so we don't have enough teachers. We know this. And so we know that they just move them as it is needed. And so unfortunately for your daughter, it's not good and not great, but these 24 kindergartners in classes, they really need another teacher at their school.
Why do they wait so late?
How do they not know? There's not this mass
So
exodus.
they do a 10-day count for attendance, and then they do a 20-day count at certain schools that have a lot of like movement. I don't know, people moving in and out constantly. I know at my son's school, which I know I'm near Katie, but at a different elementary school, they were still getting kids enrolling the first week of school. And my son's class, his kindergarten class, got another student just a week and a half ago. So as that happens and things kind of settle and shake out, they look at the 10-day attendance count, and then they'll look at a 20-day attendance count, and then move those teachers as needed.
Well, and so you were mentioning kindergarten. Even though my daughter is in 3rd grade, would her teacher then be reassigned to go teach kindergarten? I mean, is that part of your deal?
Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
That seems crazy.
Unfortunately well, when you're certified, like your elementary teachers, most of them are certified K through 6. And so they'll move them as needed. I mean, obviously schools help out.
Well, Amanda, what's interesting about this, and I know it gets anecdotal at best, but I think we're all talking here. I went, K through 12 in Guilford County schools. This never happened one time. It never happened one time.
And if it did, it would
was a teacher that might have left because she was
something
on
was happening at
maternity
home,
leave, but there was never like, oh, we don't have enough, so we're going to switch these. It never happened once. Never happened once at my kid's school.
That is a good point.
It seems brand new to me.
It's like something's off here.
Well, part of that is the caps that got put in place after you and I were in school, but there are caps in place for K through 2 class sizes. And unfortunately, a couple years ago, there used to be caps for all the way up to 5th grade, and actually I think up to 8th. And a couple years ago, the state dropped the cap numbers for 3rd through 5th. And so when they look at numbers, I mean, they don't want 40 3rd graders, we know that, but they try to make it so it works while still being in compliance for those K through 2 ages.
All right.
I mean, we're short on teachers everywhere. We know this. So
that's probably causing more of an issue, Katie, on that aspect.
It could
because they're so short, like she said, with the law or the policy, or I don't know, is it a law or a policy with the kindergarten?
I think it technically is the state policy.
Okay, so and they probably had extra teachers before. It didn't happen as much, but now they're desperate to have somebody move over to another classroom because they don't have enough by this policy or law.
Yeah, I just, it
just seems late.
It seems late, and it does feel, because it is happening to us. And look, I get it. People say, well, big deal, she's not moving schools. And by the way, if you're just joining us, we got a letter in my daughter's book bag. She's in the 3rd grade. We got a letter in her book bag just yesterday saying that effective immediately, her teacher will be reassigned somewhere else within the school district, and my daughter's classroom will be broken up and amongst the other 3rd grade classes. So everything that she's known from the beginning of the school year is now over, and she's basically starting over. She knows some of these kids,
but yeah, that's a big deal.
But it's your, everything that you've been doing for the past almost 2 months. Then what about the progress reports? What about the fact that she did her beginning of grade testing? It's like those things stay in place, but we're already so far into the school year.
You get into a teaching style with your teachers.
Get into your routine, and you have your field trips planned, and doing different games. And you love this teacher, and we love this teacher. And it seems to me that he applied. I don't know how many schools, but he chose our school, even bringing in his own children to come here, and it's like a total upheaval.
Yeah, I think that the lack of teachers is creating a big problem.
And I know that we do have a lack of teachers.
But they should know that when the school year starts.
Oh, we should know that. And then also, I have heard from teaching friends, they can't get a job anywhere.
Right.
So it's like, which is it?
Well, the person on the phone is basically saying that because there's some schools, for instance,
we have a lot of kids.
There's a lot of movement in schools. They're in and out, so it's a big fluctuation. So that's why it's so late. They have to, by policy, have somebody. So they pull from where they can. It's not a good situation for either.
Not.
Now that I see the other side of it, I'm for you. At the same time, it's just an unfortunate circumstance because of what's going on in the world. I told you, everything's downhill since COVID.
I get it. It is a numbers game, and that is something I've been in touch with the superintendent because this is for the teachers as well. And I've heard from several of my children's previous teachers where they say, please make your voice known. Because
I think you're doing the right thing.
You're talking for the students and you're talking for the teachers that this is wildly unfair for everyone. And I put it in the letter to the superintendent and also to our district, Michael Logan, that we know that the teachers are not being paid enough. We know that, I don't pretend to understand, but it's a numbers game. It is a numbers game. What they're not taking into account is the fact that it's upheaving everything we've done.
If you're saying you're doing what's best for the students,
You're not.
You're doing what's best for the budgets.
But the
Let's go to,
problem
hold on real quick,
Yeah.
Jason. Before we lose her. Let's go to Deborah. Sorry. Deborah, you are a Guilford County School rep for District 3?
No, sir, for District 5.
Okay.
I'm the elected representative for District 5.
I don't
Yes.
even know what that means.
Katie is correct. Yeah, Katie's correct. Michael Logan is the representative for District 3.
Yes.
So can you give some insight here?
Yes, and to kind of piggyback on what the teacher who called earlier said, there are a couple little details that are different. Since the advent of charter schools and the way that changed our budgeting, we actually do a 20-day count and an official 40-day count that we turn into the state. The state did mandate class sizes from K through 3, but they didn't fund them. So we had to break the classes down into smaller sizes, but they didn't give us any additional money for teacher pay or anything of that nature when they did that. So it made it very difficult for the district. And so, yes, what happens is if we have another school that gets class sizes too large, we are required by the state law to ensure that those classes are broken into the appropriate sizes and the teacher is moved to that area.
Thanks, Biden.
And it can be very difficult to do.
Yeah.
And is this a newer state law? Is this taking effect recently or last year or two or what?
No, I know it's been in effect since I've been in office since 2020.
Okay. So maybe fairly recent. We're not sure.
And my wife texted me just now.
Thank you, Deborah.
Yes.
She wanted to.
thanks-
Do we have
thanks,
any
Deborah.
experts on the phone? You just got rid of her.
Oh, Deborah, we
Do we
did.
have anybody?
I just had her.
Oh, okay. My wife was saying, does that rule change if they have a teacher assistant? Meaning, if they're at 24 and they're overboard, but the teacher has an assistant, then is it okay? Because
That's a good point.
There's a teacher assistant, even though they're not actually the teacher. There is 2 people in there now. I'm wondering if that policy is, then it's okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, that definitely is a great question. I don't know the answer to that.
They probably don't have a lot of teachers. They don't make much at all.
She's back
No
on
way.
if you need
good.
her.
Oh.
Jason asked that question. Sorry, Deborah. I thought we were done. Go ahead.
Oh, the policy with the 24, they were over because the policy, they had too many kindergartners in this one place. Does that rule still count if you have a teacher's assistant?
Yes, because it's a difference in personnel. Teachers are licensed and teachers' assistants are classified. So they don't, it's a difference in levels of education. You have to have so many licensed teachers per student.
Okay, that makes sense.
So this is not going to, even though we're voicing our opinions and voicing our concerns, what's best for the
there's
child,
nothing.
it's not going to work.
There's
Nothing's
nothing
going
they
to
can do.
change.
Let's start a march. Let's go.
Well, that's not necessarily true because the thing is you got to put it in the right direction. Dr. Oakley does a fabulous job communicating with our representatives at the state level, but ultimately they're the ones that have made these decisions that force these changes, and they are also the ones who are in control of teacher pay, and the last budget is horrid for teacher pay. So where you really need to go is to talk to your state representatives and in our Senate and our House.
Yeah, it goes
Governor Roy
beyond.
Cooper.
It
Thank
goes
you.
beyond the. See what she just said? She said the governor,
I did.
Cooper. And ironically, he stands, I believe,
Absolutely for
better,
teachers. Yes.
but that doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
It
Even
does
when
not happen.
we had a governor here, Beverly Perdue, who was a teacher and never gave teacher raises.
Right.
Which is like, that's insane to me.
And on
Anyway.
top of everything, thinking about it, the education lottery, we've had multiple billion-dollar jackpots.
Good point.
How do we not have money to pay teachers?
I don't
It makes
know.
no sense.
Good Squid is the best point you've ever made in your whole life.
I can
Thank
tell you
you.
why. I can tell you why, Squid. Not to get political, and it's nothing against Biden, but. And it's not. It's not.
Okay.
It's not. What ends up happening is now they have an influx of money for education. So the original amount that they were spending on education now gets directed somewhere else because the education lottery is taking care of that budget. So that goes somewhere else.
They should say education lottery. Maybe.
Maybe.
Or an additional. It should be on top of what's already supplied.
But you're right.
Education lottery, etc.
Yeah, or other things, or other departments.
Oh,
all right, well,
well,
Katie, I'm glad you said something. Maybe
me too.
The one thing you can do is what you're doing.
Well, and that is writing, the emails, and I'm just gonna have to proofread because it was in a fury.
Yeah, you gotta.
Like I had to slow down a second because then this morning when I reread it, I was like, damn. I said whom instead of who, and it was embarrassing for me.
Run it through ChatGPT.
No,
that's true.
way. I wrote my own email, and I'm very proud of it, and I'm going to continue to send it on. This was
it was
stellar.
good.
It was a good email.
So that's the thing. People get fearful, like, wow, well, anybody can write it there. Once you write a good one and you put it through that, it's even better because of what you wrote.
I'll be writing my own emails.
Listen to Jason Goodman endorsing AI.
Yeah, yeah. So odd. You never know where he stands on things.
Never.
And that's okay. All right, so we have Jared.
That's understandable.
Wow. Interesting.
Understandable. That's the new term. I like
just
it.
for the record, while we were there, I've been getting tons of things about the teachers, and
I know.
all of a sudden the urologist just called, and I missed the call.
Oh, look at that.
But I think it's because you said something because it was the Alliance place.
Yeah, you know what? I love how it's working out for you, but I come about school. I'm like, can we do something about it? And they're like, nope.
They're contacting Jason,
Right.
not Katie.
Like,
No, but I can call about his balls.
Yes. I'm glad your sack's going to be taken care of.
It's not
My daughter's third grade education is just down the hole.
my sack is not governed by Governor Cooper.
That's true. If it was, you wouldn't have one, or you'd be able to use it.
We can have more children without Jason Sack. We need it.
Privatized. That's the difference.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't have that government sack.
Well, there's a lot of
What are we even talking about?
I don't know.
I feel like we're on drugs today. But Katie, I hope that there's some change.
Yeah,
For everybody, for the teachers, for the principals, the superintendents, that they can, because it's causing upheaval for everybody.